Yoda, a male member of a mysterious species, was a revered Jedi Master who served as the Grand Master of the Jedi Order in the waning days of the Galactic Republic. He was renowned within the Order for his wisdom, powers of the Force and lightsaber combat, and lived for nearly 900 years. His time during the last days of the Jedi Order and beyond made him a consequential figure in galactic history. And now we have the chance to play as him in the next Star Wars Battlefront. So, I want to go over my own ideas for how Yoda could work, his abilities, his traits, general gameplay, and all my thoughts for how he could play out in multiplayer. I've spent quite a long time on this video. I wanted to make sure what I was talking about actually made sense, and I wanted to have a theory behind what I'm saying. I don't just want to say a random ability, I want to base them off canon and take inspiration from how we actually see Yoda in the Star Wars universe. Probably heard that heroes in Star Wars Battlefront 2 can be customized to fit your playstyle, which pretty much means that we are going to be getting either more than 3 abilities this time, or 3 standard abilities which will have upgrades or modifications. So in that case, I've come up with 3 abilities and modifications for those 3 abilities. But before I start, just so there's no confusion, these aren't confirmed abilities. This is just what I think would be cool and just a speculation to how Yoda may play out in multiplayer. Yoda will obviously have his lightsaber as a standard attack, and the background edit here just shows exactly what we're looking forward to and exactly what we can expect to see. It was made by Inferno Capture, so go give him a follow in the description guys, he's crazy. And the right mouse or the ADS button will most likely be his lightsaber block and deflection. I'd be really surprised if it wasn't that and they replaced it with something else, but I can see the 2 standards being his lightsaber attack and the deflection for right and left mouse. However, before I get into the abilities, I want to talk about an idea I had for a movement system for Yoda. As we know from the films, Yoda is a very agile and fast-paced duelist. This is because of his lightsaber combat. Yoda uses a form called Ataru. Ataru is a very aggressive, acrobatic form of combat, and Yoda was considered to have mastered Ataru to its highest level. He used it in almost all of his battles and caused others to describe him as virtually unstoppable against most opponents. It's the most acrobatic form, filled with numerous elaborate moves, and relies heavily upon a Jedi's ability to run, jump and spin using the Force. And as we can see from the films and from the Clone Wars, both Clone Wars shows, Yoda is all dueling. So I thought of an idea to add this technique into the game. Most characters can combat roll, but I can't exactly see that happening for lightsaber wielders and Yoda in general. So this is the idea I have. What if there was a rock or a platform, maybe a tree in front of you? The game would give you the opportunity to perform a bounce off of it. We always see Yoda using acrobatic jumps and leaping towards platforms when he duels in the films and in the TV series. So I wanted to bring that into the game with my own look on it. For example, this screenshot here. You could be walking on the battlefront, and when you get near enough to an object, the game gives you the option to maybe press A or press space when you get close enough. And what this will do is make Yoda perform a bounce animation off of the platform. Kind of similar to the animation he does when he does the double jump in the old Battlefront 2. Imagine Luke is Yoda for a second. So you're walking along the battlefront, and every time you get near to an object, the game gives you the choice to interact with it. And I think this could really work as a personalized combat role for Yoda, and just lightsaber wielders in general. You know, Darth Maul, he can do the side spin. Like, I think maybe implementing a lot more movement system into the game could really help out with the gameplay. To save Yoda continually doing this, because it would look a bit weird him bouncing around the whole time, I said limit it to 3 bounces, and when he's done 3 bounces then you'll need a break, similar to how you can't exactly combat roll twice or melee twice with the bow rifle. I have a feeling Yoda is going to be very agile and be jumping around the place in the game anyway, but I think this is a cool way to implement it and could add a lot more variety and technique to hero gameplay. As for the abilities, as I said before, Yoda fights very fast paced. So I've thought of abilities to match how he duels. First of which is his lightsaber throw, and he goes to collect it. He performs this in Revenge of the Sith during Order 66, where he goes with Obi-Wan back to the Jedi Temple. This move just shouts in-game ability. When I first saw this, I was going through all Yoda scenes from the movies, and I saw that, I was like, that definitely has to be in my video. A saber throw and quickly dash towards the target to get it back. And you can just see how quickly Yoda does this move, and it's all because of his Ataru form. You know, he's so agile, and the only problem I can see with this really is that you could be vulnerable to damage when you go collect a saber from your enemy. But all in all, I would love to see this on the Battlefront. And if we're talking modifications or upgrades for abilities, maybe you can have the saber return to you itself, similar to Vader in the current Battlefront. Whatever suits your style, I guess, but this move I think should definitely be a contender for abilities for Yoda. I mean, it's canon, we've seen it in the films, Yoda performs it himself, like that's straight out of the game, that's straight out of the films into the game. That is a perfect opportunity for an ability for Yoda. I've seen Yoda perform in the film and in the Clone Wars series. So I thought to just go with the standard force push.
To say about it, I have. At an end, your rule is, and not short enough it was.
Every Jedi utilizes the Force in combat, so I have no doubt that it will be an option as an ability in the game. There's nothing bad about Force Push. It can take out large amounts of enemies, I mean, who doesn't like that, and it is pretty decent against heroes. Next is another fast-paced ability, again to match Yoda's dueling form. In both Clone Wars series actually, Yoda forces himself between droids very quickly and takes them out. This is actually an ability in Disney Infinity, which I didn't actually know about at first, but it's exactly what I've been thinking about and exactly what I've been trying to explain. I think it could work similar to Jyn Erso's baton in the current Battlefront. Yoda could have a max of 3 dashes between droids or whoever he's facing, and the ability will go into cooldown. 3 dashes for default, and could potentially gain more from the kills he gets, which could maybe work as a trait, we'll see. I'll talk about traits later on in the video, but in Disney Infinity, just by pressing the ability button, you will get locked to a target and you'll get rushed towards them like in the gameplay in the background. So that looks very arcadey to me. I can't see that happening in Star Wars Battlefront. I don't see DICE making an ability that arcadey and that straightforward. So maybe it could be a free movement like Luke's Saber Rush and utilize it however you want. With that being said, it could potentially be a lot of Saber Rushes at once. So I'd say maybe the distance it covers would be a lot smaller than Luke's. Maybe a quarter the range. Just so Yoda doesn't look like a madman flying around the whole time. So as an example, if there was 3 droids in front of you, you could Saber Rush to the right one, and then you could turn around and Saber Rush to the middle one and then to the left. It's basically 3 Saber Rushes, very fast paced but very short of range. Basically a very agile move to suit Yoda. I think it would work really well, and it seems to be a pretty cool ability in Disney Infinity. He seems to use it a lot and jump between targets all the time in Clone Wars series, so I'd like to see that happen in the game. As the clones engaged the Confederacy's forces in a massive battle, Yoda headed to the rescue of Obi-Wan and Anakin from Count Dooku, who had injured them in a duel. In Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, the diminutive Jedi Master repelled and absorbed Dooku's Force Lightning. The same technique can be seen against Sidious in Revenge of the Sith during their battle in the Senate building. It can be seen used by Vader in Empire Strikes Back where he confronts Han Solo, and in the final scene of Rogue One where Vader deflects blaster fire back at the rebel. This technique is called Tutor Minis. Force users such as Yoda could draw potentially harmful heat or electrical ability into their bodies and diffuse it, or channel it away completely. This ability would make the bearer invulnerable to a wide range of energy-based attacks until the user discontinued its use, or if it wore off when the user became fatigued. With this skill, it was possible to deflect blaster bolts with one's bare hands. I have two potential abilities with inspiration from what Yoda used in the movies. First, being similar to Greedo. Yoda would stand still and take energy from blaster bolts in his line of sight, or any projectiles, and he would deflect them at set targets. You know how Greedo loads for a second and then he uses his precision shot? I think that is something that could really work for Yoda. He concentrates all of the blaster fire and projectiles into his palms for maybe a couple seconds, and then he will deflect it back at set targets. Yoda is stationary when he uses Tutor Minis in the film, so I wanted to incorporate that into an ability.
Much to learn. You still have.
Tutor Minis allows you to be as mobile as you want. You don't have to stand still to focus. You can be as mobile and agile as you want. So a variant of Tutor Minis ability could be you have a somewhat personal shield active for 5 seconds, where all blasters or projectiles will get absorbed into Yoda's palms. And this will only work if they are in your line of sight. I'm not exactly sure if Tutor Minis is kind of a force field, like you can protect all angles of your body. I think it is just the palms in which Yoda can absorb and deflect energy. So I say this because in the films we don't actually get to see Yoda using Tutor Minis from all angles. Like here in the Clone Wars series, he chooses to save Anakin and take the hit from the lightning from Sidious, implying he can't exactly absorb it from behind. So this ability would only work for people in your line of sight. If they're behind you, then you're most likely going to take damage from blasters and projectiles, but if you have anyone in your line of sight, anyone you're running towards, all their projectiles or blaster fire will go into Yoda's palm, like that absorption, and he'll be able to deflect and he'll be able to absorb that energy for maybe 5 seconds on the battlefront, just to have a little protection going into a large amount of enemies. I'd really like to see if Tutor Minis is implemented into Yoda's abilities. For me, it's one of his most memorable acts in the prequels. As for traits, as I said earlier, the dash between troops or droids could be increased by the amount of kills you get. Or the movement system I spoke of in the beginning. The more kills could either make your cooldowns go faster on the jumps so you can perform a lot quicker, or maybe you can perform more than 3 at a time. Maybe your trait level could be trait level 1, you can perform 3 bounces at a time, trait level 2, 5, and then trait level 3 you can do 7. I think that could work pretty well, and maybe the kills could go up by maybe 4 at a time, because it's not exactly hard to get kills as a lightsaber hero, so maybe the kills could be quite high to increase that trait, but I think it will work pretty well. One trait that I think would really work well for Yoda is a simple yet really effective one. The more kills, the faster your cooldowns. Yoda is such an agile and fast-paced duelist, so to have his abilities cool down a lot more quicker and have them available more frequent, I think it would definitely fit his playstyle. So to have these abilities cool down a lot faster if you play him correctly and get into the action, always using your abilities, you know, use the bounce to jump around, you'll be able to get those kills a lot easier, and you can get your cooldowns to go a lot faster. And I think that will just definitely fit Yoda's playstyle and give an accurate representation of how we see him in the film. One thing I do want for the next game is the fact that every hero can have a health regeneration system. If you haven't heard, the community manager Matt Everett said on the forums that iconic characters don't just run in and get slaughtered, they're mindful of their situations. And we got details that heroes will be a lot weaker, and the fact that they're weaker will give us the opportunity to have more heroes on the battlefront at once. So I think for Bossk in the past game, health regeneration is a Trandoshan trait, so I understand why it's just specific to Bossk, but I think they should bring it over to every single hero. Not as effective as Bosk's one, because it's really easy to rack up your health with Bossk. Maybe it could be on a timer, maybe every 5 seconds you'll get 1 health. You know, I think anything to keep you playing as the hero and keep you having that confidence that you have enough health to engage in battle, engage a hero, could really help out with the gameplay in the next game. But that's it for the video. Let me know what you think of my ideas and if you think I did a good job as a hero designer. Huge shout out to Star Wars Legacy and Inferno Captures. They really helped me out with the making of this video. Legacy helped out with all the lore behind the abilities, you know, the lightsaber form, the tutor minis. I just wanted to make sure what I was saying was actually accurate, so he really helped me out with confirming that. And for Inferno Captures, you may remember him from the concept art video done a while ago, but he done an amazing edit on Yoda's lightsaber, so guys, go give them a follow in the description, they deserve it. If you have any cool ideas for potential abilities for Darth Maul, then be sure to leave them in the comments, because I'm making kind of like a mini series of what abilities I could hope to see from heroes in Battlefront 2, so if you have any ideas for Darth Maul, then be sure to leave them in the comments and I may feature it in the next video. As always, thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.